After rereading The Silver Eyes and the events that transpire in the book, I realized how good the book is in the context of the FNAF universe, and how well it perfected the details that we learned and saw through our future installations. The first detail that I want to point out is the missing children's incident and the aftermath of the tragic event. During the games, we never truly see the aftermath that an event like the MCI would cause or learn much about the children. However, in the book this is handled much better, as we see just how affected not only our main characters are, but the entire town of Hurricane, with the town being permanently stained by the tragic murders, and parents being devastated, with several characters such as Carlton and Clay Burke being hit especially hard by the incident. The second detail I think is done much better in the book are the animatronics and their behavior and mannerisms. In the games, specifically FNAF 1, we see the animatronics display several paranormal occurrences, such as their garbled whispering, their childlike jump-scare sound, and their pinprick eyes. In the book, these happenings around robots are amplified and shown much more horrifying, such as Bonnie breathing like a living being when confronting Charlie, Golden Freddy being able to stop the other children, and the robotic yet eerily human-like way they walk and interact, with the book doing a phenomenal job of showing the ghostly connection between the spirits and the robotic vessels. The best thing I believe the book did terrific with the games is the characterization of Afton himself. Within the book, Afton is seen as much more of a typical Tyrian serial killer rather than his mad scientist iteration we see in the games, seeing his victims and their tragic fate as his newfound twisted family rather than test experiments. And his man is overall characterized as a pathetic man who enjoys the pain he inflicts upon others. Ultimately, this iteration of Afton is what most people envision the titular man behind the slaughter to act like before we got further characterizations in future games and books. Another detail that is done better in the books is the relationship between Afton and the spring Bonnie suit, with the man not only using the rabbit suit to commit his heinous acts, but almost treating the suit like a separate personality or persona of him, with the man becoming much more confident and convincing when within the suit, something that shows just how Afton was able to trick the children and a detail that we don't see or hear about within the games. This relationship is really intriguing in the book, as it shows that Afton only reveals his true sadistic and monstrous self when within the spring Bonnie suit, similar to other serial killers in media such as the Grabber from Black Phone. The next detail I think was executed better in the book was Henry and his slow downward spiral into his untimely demise, something that was much more fleshed out in the book than in Pizzeria Simulator. Before the reveal of Charlie's death and subsequent rebirth as a robot in the rest of the trilogy, the Super Eyes made it appear that Henry was affected by the MCI, with many characters such as Charlie and Clay detailing how the man grew reclusive after the murders and even being implicated in the crime itself, with this ultimately leading to his death. This shows the extreme of how something like the MCI could affect a person, with Henry unable to get over this guilt and sense of responsibility for what happened in the pizzeria. The last detail I want to talk about within the book is the characterization of Clay Burke, a character I believe wholeheartedly should have been adapted to the games in some shape or form. Just like the other inhabitants of Hurricane, Clay was hit hard by the events of the missing children incident. However, unlike most in the book, he had a full perspective on the scope of the tragedy, with the man being on scene at Freddy's during the aftermath of the horror and even arrested Liam for the crime before eventually having to let him go, which will go on to fuel his trauma towards the incident as a whole. Once more, just like Henry, Clay is another character we got to see being affected by the MCI. Albeit unlike Henry, Burke drew more into the obsessive, slightly overprotective path, feeling like he could have done more to put Afton away for the tragic incident and do anything to protect anyone, including his son, from falling into a similar horrifying event.